Hello, hello, out there in YouTube land. Hey, Lena, thank you. Can you hear me okay? Am I good? Am I on? Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. And I just want to touch on last week's live that I did outside for the first time, the big experiment. I watched part of the replay and could hardly stand to watch it because it was so shaky. And I'm curious to know if you were watching live, if it was that way live or if um like my phone has some stabilization in it that didn't make it shaky live, but then that didn't transfer over to the replay because it was super shaky. So hopefully anyone watching the replay of last week's live uh just listens and not watches. So today we are talking about why we keep repeating things that don't serve us, that hurt us, that we know aren't good for us. And again, I would love if you could put in the chat. Yes, you can hear me. Okay, great. For some reason, my chat was not scrolling up. I didn't put a poll in today. I forgot. Um, I'm actually going to create one right now. So I would love for you to put in the chat, is there something that you do that you know doesn't serve you, but you can't seem to break free of it? Yes, it was shaky in the live. Okay. So I learned my lesson from that experiment. And again, that's what the live was about, right? Like how we need to do things in our life to experiment, because unless we try them, we don't know how to shift. And that goes for anything. Speaking up for yourself, um, saying no when you always say yes, um, quitting drinking for a month, stopping sugar. Like I stopped sugar the beginning of April to see how it would impact my body, how I feel. Would some of my achiness go away? Would I be able to be more alert even without, the sugar fixes that I can tend to get? Hey, Miss M, thanks for being here. So we need to experiment in our lives. Otherwise, we never know what can work, what doesn't work for us. It's not about the other person, that they're not going to like it. I know, Lene, you brought up something last week that, you said somebody else wouldn't like it if you didn't follow along with them. And um, so it's not about the other person, right? It's about us doing things or not doing things according to what works for us or doesn't work for us. And in order to figure what works for us and what doesn't work for us, we have to experiment. So last week's Hi, Molly. I'm Molly THH. What's the topic on which you are talking? I am talking about why we keep repeating what hurts us. So why we do things that we know don't serve us. And I'm putting a poll in so you can talk about, or you can answer that. Bear with me just one moment. I can't talk and speak at the same time. Okay, starting the poll. Hopefully that will show up. All right. So, we are talking about why we keep repeating things that hurt us, such as over overeating or binge eating, um, drinking that second glass of wine when you said you would only have one, not speaking up for ourselves, um, getting into relationships that aren't healthy, or continuing to, you know, say yes to friends when their energy drains you, right? There's all sorts of things that I've done, certainly in my life. I would love to know what comes up for you. Like, what things do you do in your life that don't serve you, that actually hurt you? Maybe you tolerate hurtful behavior. I had a client whose mother-in-law told her often that she was fat and that she needed to do something about it, and that it wasn't godly to live her life this way. And she put all this shame and embarrassment and criticism and dismissal on her daughter-in-law and on my client. And my client just sat and tolerated it because she thought, because it's family, it's something that it would be wrong, she thought, for me to walk away from this conversation or for me to stand up for myself. And because it was her mother-in-law, she felt an obligation to create she really wanted to have a good relationship with her, partly because she felt that that was an obligation. As a daughter-in-law, you need to have a good relationship with your mother-in-law. As a daughter, you need to have a good relationship with your mother, right? Like, these rules that we put on ourselves. And so we end up repeating things that hurt us in our lives. We stay in these situations, we stay in the conversations. We, again, don't speak up for ourselves. I mean, I could go on and list lots of reasons. Yes, a lot seems to be the vote here. Why does this poll? Okay, sometimes or with one thing. Um, so we have 67% for yes, a lot, and sometimes for 33% for sometimes. I would love to know, like, what are the things that you are aware of that you're doing, that you're repeating, that you feel stuck in? Because that's what we're talking about today. Why when we know, why when I know if I drink too much, that's going to hurt me? Or why if I binge on, sweets, I love chocolate chip cookies. Um, if I binge on those, I know I'm going to feel it in my body. I'm not going to sleep well. I'm going to, feel the aches and pains. I'm going to gain weight, like suddenly just get bloated, right? And then I know that I am going to crave more sugar. Why do we do that, right? Why do we repeat that behavior? That's what we're talking about today. So again, I would love for you to put in the chat, like, what specifically, um, if you said yes a lot, like, what are those things so that I can speak directly to those things. But I'm going to tell you a little secret up front. It's not about those things. It's about something deeper. And I'm going to share a little bit here with you, um, on the whiteboard that I created for my membership. So there's a video already in the membership that goes very much into depth on that. You can join the membership. It's the inner circle is what it's called. There should be a join button right below where you're watching right now. It's $5.99 a month. You can come in for a month, watch that video and leave. Um, you can stay as long as you want. So, and there's also another meditation audio in the membership as well right now. So I'd love to have you in there. Your name will show up as soon as you join in bold in any chats, like today in the live stream, or when you comment on a long form video, your name will show up with a, what's it called? badge behind your name that indicates you're a member, and your name will show up in bold. And then there's cute little emojis that you can use that aren't available to non-members. So that's available to you. And that video is already uploaded in there where I go really in depth on why we get stuck. But I'm going to share with you today why we do. So the first reason is that, right, when we do something like this, it creates pain. Maybe not physical pain, but mental pain, emotional pain. Your self-talk maybe goes down, down the tubes, off the rails, and you hear yourself talking to yourself really negatively after you did something that doesn't serve you, that hurts you, that you swore you weren't going to repeat. Miss M said, I keep repeating finding friends online, even though it's not a friendship where you can get together and hang out. It's good to have online friends, but I need friends in real life too. Okay. Yeah. I'm curious to know, I'm guessing, like, is it hard for you to create friends in real life? Does it feel safer? And that's the first point that I'm going to talk about. Does it feel safer to have those online friends because you don't have to be as vulnerable? I'm just guessing here. So, helping you to become more aware of, like, what is causing you to not go out in the real world, right? And seek in-person friendships. There's something blocking you there, right? From doing that. Maybe you were hurt in the past from a in life real person. And so that's the first point, is that our brain, right? Its main job is to keep us alive. And that means it has to keep us safe. It feels safer to have online friends. It's less scary, right? Because you don't have to, you can kind of hide behind the keyboard, right? And like here in the live, I don't see your face, right? I can't associate with you other than, through the words that you type in the chat. So I get it. But there must be something behind that, right? A story, an experience that you had that created making friends in real life scary for you. And I'm not diminishing it at all. That's very common. And I think in today's world, I don't know how old you are, Miss M, but in today's world, yeah, she says, I was hurt by a friend. Absolutely. And in today's world, it's so much easier, right? To make online friends versus friends in real life. In the past, when I grew up, there was no such thing. I didn't have the opportunity, right? So it's only been within the last, especially since COVID, right? It really opened up the world with Zoom and all of those things to, and that's a good thing in a way, because I wouldn't be able to do, well, I guess Zoom doesn't have anything to do with, going live on YouTube, but I meet with my clients over Zoom, right? In the past, I would have only been able to meet with people in real life. So there are benefits to what has happened, but one of the drawbacks is what you said, is that it's a plus and a minus, both. It's a plus in that you can make friends online, right? And form friendships online, and you can develop those. But the negative is that it keeps you in a safe zone that doesn't allow you to expand your life and doesn't allow you to break out of that fear. I shouldn't say it doesn't allow you, but it makes it easier to not break out of that fear and out of that comfort zone and go find real friends, right? In real life is what I mean, not real friends, but you're 29. Okay. So you're young and you're discovering life and figuring out what works and doesn't work. And I'm happy that you're here, learning from my my lived experience, right? So I would encourage you to, you know, you live, I think you said somewhere that you watch, um, I remember you watch All-Star or not All-Star basketball, but, what's it called? You know what I mean, college basketball. And I'm thinking you're on the East Coast, but there are groups, right? Are you expanding your spiritual life, right? Like maybe go find a group like that where they're all learning and growing. Maybe it's Codependence Anonymous, right? If you feel that you have some resentment toward other people or that you have people pleased in your life, that you're always trying to make other people happy, Codependence Anonymous is a free program that you can go and meet like-minded people. There are actually women's groups, and I referred one of my clients, and she found a woman's group, and she came back to me in the next session in tears. She felt so supported and so seen by these women because they were already traveling the path that she wanted to start traveling, of breaking free from, being in a narcissistic relationship. Again, repeating something that hurts you. She didn't want to repeat that, and she had repeated that pattern many times in her life, and she saw finally how it wasn't serving her. So she went to one Codependence Anonymous meeting, and she was blown away by the amount of support and love and feeling seen and heard that she got from the women in this group. So seek out something, like that, if that feels right to you. But like I talked about last week, right? We have to experiment. It might seem scary to walk into your first meeting or whatever you decide to do. It's going to feel scary, right? Because it's new. Your brain is like, holy crap, what are we doing here? This isn't safe, abort, abort, run away, run away. All of those things to keep you in your comfort zone, but you can't expand your life when you're in your comfort zone, when you're staying in your comfort zone. So I encourage you to experiment like we talked about in last week's video. Experiment and go, take a chance. See what happens because you'll never know unless you do. So that's the first point, is that this familiarity of staying stuck, of the pain of a friend hurting you, right? That becomes familiar in the body. Staying in fight or flight becomes familiar in the body. And even though we know it's not serving us, that familiar is where the brain and the ego are going to keep you. They are going to do everything they can to keep you in the familiar. The brain is just a predicting machine. So it predicts by you stepping out and doing something new that something bad is going to happen, because that's what happened in the past. You were hurt by a friend. I don't know what transpired to make that happen, right? But what the brain understands from what the thoughts and emotions that you have repeated, the brain understands that's not safe. That's not the truth, but that's what it knows. And that's all it can act on or have you act on, is what it can predict will happen. So just like AI is just a predicting tool, it doesn't have any emotions or any thinking capabilities, right? It can only predict what next word is going to come. So, because the pain is familiar, familiar feels safe, even though it doesn't serve you, even though it hurts you. Miss M, I would love to know, like, how, maybe you said this already, you keep repeating finding friends online, even though it's not a friendship where you can get together. So, how does that hurt you in your life? Maybe it's not anything that you've been aware of so far, but how is not finding friends in real life hurting you? How is that not serving you in your life? I would love to know what comes up for you when I ask that question. So, because pain is familiar and familiar feels safe, that's where our brain wants to keep us, right? Your brain doesn't chase pain. Our brain wants to avoid pain, right? And so it will stay away from anything that it predicts as possibly painful. Speaking up for yourself, saying no, telling someone that you're not going to sit there and tolerate them talking to you that way. If they continue to do that, you're going to walk away. Or if you're on the phone with somebody, whatever it is. Um, so your brain doesn't chase this pain because it wants to suffer. It chases it because it knows it. It's familiar, right? And it's what feels like home to the brain. For the ego, pain is its peak experience. I know that sounds really, really counterintuitive, right? Why would our ego? But remember that I've talked about this briefly in other videos, but our ego is just made up. We made it up. We made it up out of all the stories and things that we told ourselves when we're young. And the ego knows that it's made up. We know intuitively deep down that we are 100% worthy, but we've forgotten that. And so we've made these stories and these emotions and all of that. And the ego, we created this ego out of that, who we think we are, but we're not. The ego knows it's made up. And so it needs to do everything it can to prove that it's right, because otherwise it would not survive. If we realized fully 100% that we are worthy no matter what we've done, no matter what we've done or haven't done, who we've hurt, what experiences we've had, no matter who we are, how we've shown up in our lives, if we understood that that does not diminish our worthiness 1%, 0.5%, 0.1%, 1/100th of a percent, it does not diminish who we are. If we realize that, our ego would be gone. But we're human, right? We have experiences, we have emotions, we have all of these things that I'm going to talk briefly about that are hidden down in the subconscious underneath the level of the water. Miss M said, I'm not connecting with someone and it hurts me because I don't have someone to go to when I'm going through a hard time. And I guess my anxiety keeps me from making friends. Right, exactly. So, what I would tell you, Miss M, is can you imagine a place? I know you can, so I'm not going to ask you. Imagine a place where you feel calm and relaxed and maybe having fun and not a care in the world, no worries, just carefree and just like maybe a little girl, right? For me, it would be the beach. I love the water, the sound of the water, especially warm water, a warm sandy beach. I love that. And I can let go of everything and feel completely relaxed at home with who I am, like just completely carefree. Now, I want you to think about the anxiety, right, of making friends, um, like how that feels anxious. You, if you did that just now, following me, your brain knows the difference. You just told yourself, right? Calm, relaxed, carefree, no worries in the world, like a little kid, twirling around with your dress, twirling around with you, or blowing dandelion, seeds. Whatever it is for you, blowing bubbles through the little thing, right? You know that feeling of being relaxed. So you can choose to go there whenever you want. You don't have to choose to stay in the anxiety. I'm going to talk more about, though, where this anxiety lives and where it comes from. So stay tuned. Miss M said, mine would be the Rocky Mountains. When I've gone there, it brings me peace and I was so relaxed. Right. So you know what it feels like, right? It's not like your brain or your body don't know what that calm and relaxed feel like. So the more you can take yourself there, the more often, the easier it will be to get you back to that state of relaxation again, and out of the anxiety. You breathe into it, right? Like there's a whole it doesn't have to be hard to get out of the anxiety. But again, I'm going to talk about that. I'll write it down because otherwise I'll forget. Um, I, from what you've shared with me, I'm guessing that you identify as an anxious person. And when we identify as not confident or shy or anxious or having ADHD or, anything like that, even positive things, confident, whatever I tell myself I am is what I'm identifying as. And that's what the subconscious will support you in. There's no other way about it. The subconscious is here to support you and keep you safe. So if you tell yourself enough times that you're confident, that you're relaxed, that you're calm, your subconscious will start to believe it is true and will start to support you in that. But right now, you've repeated, whether it's internally or externally, said it out loud so often that I have anxiety. I have anxiety. I have anxiety. I'm scared, right? And the subconscious is like, okay, that's what we believe. The subconscious doesn't know the difference between real and imagined. So it thinks you are in an anxiety attack right at the moment, right? It thinks a tiger is chasing you. And so it tells the body, go into fight or flight. And we end up a lot of times living in fight or flight. And that fight or flight becomes normal. Even though it's painful, it's hurting us, it doesn't serve us. Remember, pain is familiar, and familiar feels safe. Whatever's familiar to you, abuse could become familiar, right? And that's why a lot of times we hear about women, and I'm speaking to women, it happens to men too, but women have a hard time breaking free of abusive relationships because the abuse has started to feel familiar. And so the brain thinks this is what's safe. Familiar equals safety. Does that make sense? I would love for you to put in the comments. I know it's kind of deep, right? But it's also it is the way your brain thinks it's protecting you, but it's going to protect you on things that you have allowed to become familiar. We allow bad habits to become familiar. We allow eating sugar to become familiar. We allow drinking alcohol every day to become familiar. We allow someone's negative talk toward us, right? We allow that because we tolerate it. We allow it to become familiar. And familiar is what the brain sees as safe. So we didn't do this on purpose, right? It's just the way the brain works. It's the way it's programmed. So if you had something told to you when you were young over and over and over again, something, we'll say negative, positive too, it works in the positive as well, which thankfully, right? But if you had something told to you negatively over and over when you were young, it became familiar to the brain, right? It became programmed in, then that's what the brain says, okay, this is what's safe. And so it can seem really deep, but it's also so simple. All we have to do is start telling our brain what we want to believe. Miss M, I'm sure you don't want to believe that you're not confident, that you're going to be anxious when you go out to try and meet new people, right? You don't want to believe that. You want to break free of that. You don't want to stay stuck there. But so you, not but, so you have to start telling your brain what you want the new program to be, what you want to believe about yourself. You start telling that, you start repeating that enough to yourself, and the brain is like, oh, cool. Okay. She believes she's confident. Great. I'll support her in that. She believes she can calmly and easily make friends with other people. Great. I'll support her in that. No problem. That's become the new familiar. So we just have to create a new familiar. That's all it is. So now we have 50% doing things that don't serve you, 25% sometimes or with one thing, and 25% no, they don't do that. That's awesome. Um, okay, seeing if I missed anything. So again, the ego, though, which we tend to believe because it shouts so loudly, right? And it shows up so frequently, but we allow it to control what we believe. So pain is its peak experience, and so it wants to, which seems really counterintuitive, right? But it wants to keep us in pain because that's what keeps it alive. Remember, if we didn't believe it, the ego, it would die. So the second thing I want to talk about is one of the egos dictate in love, like in connection and belonging, and Miss M, this relates to you specifically. I'm not talking about intimate love, like romantic love. I'm talking about love in general, right? We all want to belong and feel connected in our life. And I would guess, right, like you don't feel connected. You don't feel like there's someone that you can go to when you have something hard to talk about or something sad or whatever, right? But the ego, it says that love is seek but do not find. And that comes from A Course in Miracles. So it says seek but do not find. And so we keep looking for that connection, for that belonging, right? But something keeps us from finding it. And that drive to belong, to feel chosen, to feel good enough, to feel, loved and accepted by other people, that drive as a human, I believe, is always on, right? It's always on for us to be seeking that. If you're coming in new here, we're talking about like why we keep repeating things that hurt us in our life. And so there's a part of us that keeps trying to move to that finish line of feeling fully connected, fully accepted, fully loved for who we are. We just keep moving the finish line. And part of that I'll go back to is because we don't believe with 100% certainty and truth that we are worthy all the time. We doubt that. And again, we don't do it on purpose. It's part of being human. It's part of having the human experience. But the more we can stop doubting that and the more we can remember who we actually are, the less that we will seek things that hurt us or that will stay in situations that hurt us. So all this that I'm talking about lives below the surface of the water. What you do, so hopefully you can, pull it close. I'm afraid you can't hear me if I move too far away. So everything that we do, like our thinking and our actions, our behaviors, planning, what you're listening to with me, what you're listening to me right now with is your conscious mind. And it's only 5%. Everything else lives below the level of the water. Our beliefs, our stories, all of that. So again, I created this video in my membership that goes into that. If this is 5%, what is this? This is our subconscious mind. This is where all that comes from. 95% lives there. So how do we deal with that, right? How do we change what is patterned and stored in the subconscious mind? Again, that video in the membership, the Inner Circle membership is there. It's available now. You can join for $6 a month. You can join for a month, watch that video and any others that I get up in there. There's a meditation audio, Miss M, that meditation audio would be amazing for you because it's going to help you in 5 minutes calm down. And oh, that's my keyboard. I thought I lost my connection. Just my keyboard connection. That's okay. We're okay. So you can join that membership. Again, stay for a month if you want. And then, unjoin. But I go really into depth about how I discovered this and how pivotal this information was to me in changing my life and gaining the wisdom that I have about this and how the subconscious mind works so that I can stop doing things, repeating things that hurt me in my life because I know now where they come from. So again, what you do is above the level of the water. It's up here, right? It's your actions and behaviors. And for most of us, we think if I just change my actions, my behaviors, how I think about something, then I'll change. I'll be more confident. I won't be so anxious, blah, 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 right? We cannot change our behaviors until we change what's under the water. Our behaviors will not change. And again, I tell the story in that video about how I realized that in one moment, how that shifted for me and how everything after that shifted as well. How I was able to start changing my behaviors, how I was able to stop tolerating people dismissing me, talking cruelly to me, diminishing me, how I was able to start speaking up for myself, standing up for myself, saying no when it wasn't right for me. So I encourage you, I would love to have you in the membership, and, go in and watch that video and comment what you got out of it. So until you look below the water, you'll keep changing behaviors, but the change won't stick. It just won't stick. Like for me, I just kept boomeranging back to the old behavior after a week or two. This goes for anything, overeating, drinking too much, binge watching TV, social media, eating sugar. It goes for everything, not working out, not eating, eating healthy, not drinking enough. It goes for everything in your life. That behavior will not change or will be super hard to change because willpower, I don't know if you can see that, willpower is in the 5%. So we try to willpower our way through and it just doesn't work because it's only 5% of the power to change something in our lives. So I've touched on this a little bit already, but your worth has never changed, not once. You were born 100% worthy. You are innately worthy. Nothing you can do, nothing you can say, nothing you haven't done or haven't said, nothing that's happened in your life can touch that worthiness. But the thing is that we put on this mask. We told ourselves a story, right? We learned a story about who we were when we were young based on what somebody told us. She's shy. She's not good at math. She's doesn't have the mouth of a singer. Someone told me that. And so I believed it, right? Why would people in my life tell me things that weren't true? That's what we think as a little kid. And I believed what they said. And so we grow up then as adults believing those stories, those experiences, those things that we were told are the truth. And we continue to repeat that story to ourselves until we investigate it and find out, holy crap, I've been repeating a story to myself that's just a story. But maybe I've worn the mask now for so long, right? That or as someone said, I think maybe it's Gay Hendricks, says that he says, we've worn this skin, this suit for, no, we've worn this suit for so long, these clothes for so long that they now feel like our skin. So we think that that's who we are. And it's not who we are. Those things aren't truths. They're just other people's the stuff they brought forward in their life, right? The things they were taught. I was taught to be a good girl. My mom was most likely taught to be a good girl. I spent all weekend with her last weekend, and it became even more apparent to me. And I realized this during COVID, how much of a people pleaser she was. Well, no wonder I grew up with those characteristics, right? Because she modeled that for me. She modeled always putting everyone else first. Don't burden anyone with anything in your life. Just do it yourself, right? Just quietly take care of it yourself. Love, hope, faith. Thanks for being here. Sorry, I misunderstood the poll. Thought us oops, was the channel. Yes, I do things often that don't serve me. I don't know if you can revote. Um, but thanks for clarifying. So you do things often that don't serve me. You tried to revote. Okay. No worries. No worries at all. I appreciate you being here. And would love for you to share more in the comments in the chat, if you will. Like, is there something in particular that jumps out to you right now that you do often that has hurt you, that you know doesn't serve you? And I don't know if you came in at the beginning, so you've heard all this, or if you want to go back and watch the replay and catch what you missed. But I appreciate you being here. So again, we have heard this story, repeated the story to ourselves, and remember what we talked about a few minutes ago. Familiar is what's safe, and something that's repeated becomes familiar. So when we repeat something, or it was repeated to us, whether we're a kid or now an adult, anything that we repeat, oh, I'm so clumsy, I'm so lazy, I'm so, right? A lot of it is negative. But anything we repeat, positive or negative, becomes familiar to the brain, to the subconscious. Familiar equals predictable, and predictable equals safe. Or you could say familiar equals safe, and therefore I'm going to do what feels familiar. I'm going to predict the unfamiliar, so something you're trying new, something that you're going to experiment with, speaking up for yourself, saying no, um, starting a new workout routine, telling yourself that you want to start eating healthier, no sugar, no alcohol, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. A good habit, a bad habit, whatever you're trying to change in your life, if it's not familiar to the brain predicts that unfamiliar is unsafe. And therefore, it's going to block you from doing that new thing. So you have to push through that block. You have to tell yourself, no, I understand what I'm doing, and what I'm doing is not unsafe. And I know if I do it enough times, it will start to feel familiar, and therefore it won't feel unsafe anymore, right? Like, talk yourself through things. Experiment, like the live stream last week, right? That was all an experiment, and I learned a ton. I learned to put my phone on a tripod when I am live streaming outside from my phone. Otherwise, you guys will be driven crazy by the shakiness of the video. And I appreciate you, any of you who hung in there and watched it. So we have to experiment in order to get past what the brain thinks is safe, to give it a new safe, a new familiar. Does that make sense? Are you grabbing what I'm putting down? um, so again, our worthiness, but we've maybe told ourselves a story because maybe we were told a story when we were young about how we did something bad, and we equated that then to not being good enough. And not being good enough means I'm not worthy, right? To a little kid brain, it has no way of analyzing what's said. It just takes what's said as truth. There's no analytical ability when we're that young. It's just not developed. I mean, it physically is not developed yet. And so our little brains just take in everything like a sponge as the truth. And so then we move forward in life. And if we haven't examined the crap that we were told when we were young, and no one did it maliciously for the most part, they were just doing what they knew, right? Even abuse, right? Hurt people. So they're only acting from where their subconscious is, the programs that they were given. I'm not condoning it, but we have to understand that this is human behavior, right? And until they examine what's causing them to be abusive, it won't change for them either, right? We all have to take responsibility for examining ourselves and figuring out what works and what doesn't. Holy criminy, I've been on for almost an hour already. The time flies when I'm here. And I appreciate you being here. So we are wrapping up. Again, your worth has never changed once, not once. You were born innately worthy 100%, and it has not diminished. Nothing can diminish that. You're a caregiver for both your parents with dementia and mental illness, and was groomed to do this from a child. I never was allowed to have my own needs and have had chronic lifelong illness. No one helps. I'm so happy you're here. I would love for you to join the membership and watch this video. that I'm talking about, because I go in depth on how you can help yourself, right? How you can reprogram all that stuff that was given to you, right? It's not the best gift that you were given, but all of that that was given to you so that you can move forward on a new path and live the life that you want to live. I truly believe that that's possible for you. I believe it's possible for all of us. But I can't do it for you, right? I can't do it for anybody. I can't do it for my clients. I can't do it for my mom. I can't do it for my family, my friends. I can't do it for them, but I can help guide you, right? And that's what I do. So if you want guidance, right? I'm a coach. I guide you. I use subconscious tools to help you understand what is at the core, what is below the surface level of the water. Because until we understand what is hiding down there, and that will be the second video in the membership coming soon about the blind spots. We have so many blind spots. We have so many beliefs. We have so many stories. We have so many things that we identify with that we don't even realize we're doing. Some of them are super simple. And once we can see them and be aware of them, then we can shift them. But just like a car driving in your blind spot, unless you know it's there, you can't do a thing about it, right? And you might turn into it. Um, and cause an accident or a catastrophe. That's what happens in our life. We have all these beliefs and things hidden in our blind spot. And because we don't know they're there, we stay stuck. We stay stuck in these limiting things that we don't understand that we can actually change. Miss M said, "Thank you for this. I feel like I'm not worthy." Right, because again, it has become so familiar. It feels like your skin. It just feels like unworthiness is a part of you, and it's not. That's just a story that you were given and that you have repeated from all the experiences. But we tend to live in our past, right? We're trying to create a better future for ourselves, but we're taking our past and pulling it forward into our lives, thinking that the future is going to be different. We can't create from there because it's gone, it's done. It no longer exists and we cannot change it. So, what can we change, right? How can we move forward? If you want to schedule a coaching session, my link is down in the description of this video. You can schedule a one-time coaching session to see, like, we can dive deep fast in 60 minutes. You might get some clearing and then you can take the next step from there. Again, that's an option for you. Join the membership, watch that video. That's $6, super inexpensive, and get a next step from there, right? We can only take one step at a time toward change. Most of us, and I was there as well, thought, "Oh my gosh, I just want to be there now," right? And so I wouldn't take the steps because partially because I didn't understand all the stuff that was hidden down here. And so I was taking steps from the 5%, and we can't change from the 5%. So your worth, again, has never changed from 100%. What has changed is your story about it. And it's just a story. It's just a story, and you can find a new story. You can create a new story. These stories can be rewritten. I've rewritten mine. I used to be like you, Miss M, thought I wasn't worthy, thought I wasn't good enough, and therefore I did everything I could to make everybody else happy because I thought that's where I would feel my worthiness. I thought if they accepted me, if they loved me, if they chose me, then that meant I was worthy. And it didn't mean that at all because my worthiness never went away. I just didn't know it. I just didn't I just didn't remember that, right? When we're babies, when we're 3, 4, but especially when we're babies, when we're born, we w we are 100% worthy, we know it, right? There's nothing a baby could do that takes away that worthiness, nothing. I'm happy for you. Um, oh, Love, Hope, Faith said, "I got here in the middle and will rewatch the whole video." Yes, thank you for being here. And Miss M, these live streams have been really helpful. I'm so happy you're here. Again, if you have $6, go join the membership and watch that video, um, and listen to that, 5-minute meditation audio. And then you can repeat it on your own, that meditation audio. Once you learn it, what it is, you can repeat it on your own without listening or watching the video. So again, your worth has never changed. What has changed is the story that you started telling yourself, and stories can be rewritten. So the shift isn't about doing something different, it's about believing something different. Believing something different about you. And I just got goosebumps. So that's a really good sign. Behavior, your behavior, the things you think about yourself, and the way you act come from those beliefs. So behavior always follows belief. So, Miss M, you can't change your behavior until you change the belief. All right. I will leave you there with that. I'd love to see you in the membership. I'll be back here next Wednesday at 2:22 p.m. Eastern time. So I'd love to see you back. Love, hope, faith. Love to see you here. I look forward. Put your comment in the replay down, in the comment section. Would love to hear what you got out of it. If I can serve any of you through coaching, I would love to help you with that. And again, would love to see you in the membership. And yeah, comment on how I can help you in these videos, in these live streams. What would you like me to talk more about? I'm happy to do videos on what will serve you better. So see you next Wednesday, or see you in the membership, see you in a long form video in the comments, wherever it is. I appreciate you being here. Thanks and have a great week.